You are listening to I Am Refocused Radio with your host, Shemaiah Reed. This show is designed to inspire you to live your purpose and regain your focus. And now, here's your host, Shemaiah Reed.
Welcome back to Am Refocused Radio. Once again, we are here today, and today, man, we have a true honor. We're kicking off the new year. Happy New Year. It's 2026. First show of the year is happening this Sunday, and we're recording on a Friday. I have our special guest today, Scott Martin. He is an award-winning soccer coach, father, disability advocate, and the author of a new book that you can pre-order right now. It's Play From Your Heart. And I can't wait to dive in and learn about his story. After we play this interview for you guys, I want you to do your homework assignment. We did it late last year. I'm going to start again in 2026. Please share it with just one person. That's it. It's real simple, real easy, but it's very effective. And I just want to thank you all for tuning in. But first and foremost, Scott, welcome to the show today. How you doing, man?
Thank you for having me on this show, Shemaiah. I'm really looking forward to talking to you. I've listened to some of your shows, and I like your style. This is going to be fun.
Well, I appreciate you, and I want to say again to you, Scott, Happy New Year to you and yours. And tell us, first of all, a little bit about your story, because you have a lot in there, from surviving a life-threatening illness that changed your body and your career, but you also redefine success and leadership and purpose, because with this book that people get pre-order, Play From Your Heart, I know it's going to inspire people, and it's very timely for the new year to kick off.
Yeah. So I used to teach social studies and history at the high school level. I worked my way up coaching soccer into the college level, but I'm back now just as a substitute. And the high school where I substitute a lot is 10th through 12th grade. So early part of the year, when I first come into contact with the sophomores, I talk to them very openly and honestly about my disability. And I open with, I understand how rumors go, so let's just squelch it right away. Here's the spiel I give them. In 1993, I was the head women's soccer coach at the University of Wisconsin at Eau Claire. We had just finished my first season there. We were nationally ranked. I was heading over to Europe to do some coaching with college players I had selected from across the country, and I had been to Europe many times, taking players over there. Nike got a hold of me and said, hey, we heard some good things. We'd like you to come down to a regional camp outside of Chicago. Fantastic. Only problem was, Shemaiah, I wore Adidas. I mean, we were under a contract with Adidas, so that was kind of a strange situation. Got some free Nike stuff. That's good. Met some great people. But it was there I started feeling poorly during an exhibition match on the second night of the camp. And I'll just cut to the chase a little bit. You know, I had no idea where hospitals were. So my mom was an hour and a half away in southern Wisconsin. Pulled up there, and as wise as women always are, as soon as she saw me, and this was before cell phones, so she had no idea what was going on. As soon as she saw me, she said, you get your butt over to the emergency room. Something's wrong. So I'll jump ahead one day after they released me. And the last thing I remember was my stepfather backing out of the driveway, my mom looking at us all freaked out. I woke up a month later from a coma to learn that I had contracted group A strep with necrotizing fasciitis. The media at the time loved to call it the flesh-eating disease, and it does not eat flesh. Just a way to get the message across to folks. So when I was wondering what was going on because I couldn't move, doctor told me that in order to save my life, and I was supposed to be dead, that they had to amputate both hands and parts of both feet and see how it handled life. That was tough, man. I mean, talk about a fork in the road. That was really difficult. 4 more months in the hospital, rehabbing, trying to understand how to deal with my new life. Never really got into that, Shemaiah, and that's what the dumb thing I did. I don't know if it's a male thing or what, but it was a dumb thing I did. I never looked at myself and gave me an opportunity to reflect. You know, 4 years still running a nationally ranked program. All I did was work. I ran smack dab into the wall of depression. I mean, there's another fork in the road for you. And everything changed after that when I just said, that's enough. That's enough.
Of heaviness. back to back, and it's not back to back party times. It's back to back challenges. And there's a little ad lib in my interview, but I had to follow up on what you just said. And what were some of the things, or what was a thing that kept you together best you can going through these challenges? Because I can only imagine, like, wow, it's like glass break on the floor, and it's dangerous to walk everywhere on one end, but it's also like, what am I supposed to do? It never happened to me before.
I never looked into it. I mean, I just focused on work. And that's the dumb thing I did. I became a pretty good actor of being myself, or portraying being myself to others. And I know that's how there was a lot of faking going on, how others saw me, how I thought others saw me, and tried to change the way I was in order to help them understand the new me better. That was a tricky time. And all of that led to just going down the rabbit hole into that depression that really, really nailed me.
Once again, listen to Am Refocused Radio and watching us online. We're talking to our guest today, Scott Martin. You can get a copy of his book. Just pre-order it. It's Play From Your Heart. I want to mention one thing that I found interesting, because we actually talked about it in the green room, and that is key subject, music. Throughout the book, you reference specific songs and musical moments. Why was music so powerful and important in storytelling for you?
It was natural for me to tell the story, because the second half of the book is dealing with post-depression, or post running into the wall and moving out to Washington and working with a group of 12-year-olds. That's the second half of the story. Another undefeated, winning state championship, blah, blah. I always, in all of my coaching, I've always had music at my training sessions, because I would use music as a metronome to get the players to play like that. You know, rock, blues, jazz, Motown, funk, disco, all of that would come into our training sessions. And you know what? Really interesting, Shemaiah, after we wrote the book, it dawned on me, man, this is an opportunity to do something different as an author, to provide an opportunity for readers to be interactive. So what I suggest to readers is, and most of them are probably going to be reading it electronically anyway, open another tab, go to Spotify or someplace where you can, once you get to a certain song, go into that other tab and play that song, get it to feel of what's happening with the story, then come back and continue reading. I think doing it that way, and I've done it, I think it's really interesting. It just pulls people in, it gives them a chance to become more involved than just reading. It's to feel it more emotionally.
Music is powerful, and it has some very common parallel with this show, and I will argue any show, and that is the power of storytelling. Storytelling has been around since ancient times. Everyone has a story. I mean, if those who are religious or not religious, or person of faith, in the Bible, there are nothing but stories of conflict, stories of ups and downs, of sunrises and dark clouds, if you will. But storytelling is powerful. But music sets the tone. It has an emotion that it grips people, whether it's you like rock, or you like jazz, or you like gospel, or you like hip hop. Music, whatever you tune into, whatever's your flavor, if I can put it that way, it's very powerful.
Oh, extremely. And I actually have always been successful in my coaching. And I think that's just one of the aspects of it, because what I promote in coaching and in my players is to play freely, not to be feeling like you have the weight of a coach telling you what to do and directing. It's, to me, the game of soccer is like a Jackson Pollock drip painting, artist from the 40s and 50s, where it just flows, different colors. And the simplicity of what Pollock did, that's the same thing I want to get my players to do, is to play like the music we listen to, or we have, and a Jackson Pollock film. Just that freedom to be creative on the field as 11 players playing together and trying to win a match.
when you think about this shift from having doors being open for you, going to being labeled, right? Mm-hmm. And a lot of times when we going through some conflict, people on the outside, they assume they know what's best for us, and they actually have no clue unless they walk in our shoes for about maybe 2 blocks, if they last that long. They won't really understand what it's really like to be in that whole new scenery, if you will, because your whole life changed and you had to make adjustments while everybody tried to put you inside a box.
Yeah, before my illness, I was a white guy in athletics, and the focus was about winning. I enjoyed that, the pressure of that. And if you were successful in the winning, then things are wide open. They get a little tighter as the bottleneck closes. But after the illness, man, discrimination, I learned it firsthand, not the same as people of color necessarily, or LGBTQ community or some other disabled people, but I learned it from the flip side. And humanity really is not easy to get along with. I think, though, Shemaiah, what I've learned and what I want to be doing here from here is to educate the non-visually disabled, because they don't know. And therefore, what you don't know, you might pick on to make yourself feel better because they're uncomfortable how to act. And that's another thing when I've gotten into the media aspect and promotion of the book. That's something I'm learning, and I'm getting into it. Definitely getting into it. Educate.
Once again, listen to Am Refocused Radio and watching us online, talking to our guest today, Scott Martin. Make sure you don't forget, he has a book coming out very soon. You can pre-order right now. It's Play From Your Heart, and I love that title. I hope people understand that when I do this show, not only are we kind of jazzy, like call and response, that is my style. I don't like reading too much scripts because it feels robotic. So my next question, I'm coming on improv. In your book, when you think about running into a brick wall of depression, when that actually happened, that moment, how were you able to gather yourself and say, you know what, this is what I have to do?
I resigned my position in, I think, April of a year. And in June, we started a 2-week-long, $10 million medical malpractice suit against the physician who told me to go home and drink Gatorade when I first presented myself to the emergency room. Lost. So that's there's another brick wall right there for you. So here's what I did, and I wrote about it very clearly in the book. And one of the parts of the trial was I was not asked to come in to the courtroom while they had a psychiatrist there. And I know they were talking about me and suicide. Being an athlete, how would I handle things? Especially after losing the trial, I went home. I closed the garage door. I had a 3-level apartment. Bottom was the garage. And as the door was going down, I thought how many of my friends and people wouldn't be surprised if I let the door just stay and left my car on. Or if I went out and bought a pistol and just said, screw it, just done with it. I don't think they would have been surprised. But that is the clarity. I actually had clarity. And I went up, I pulled CD after CD after CD out, and I stacked them up. My cat came up on my shoulders, and it was, all right, man, the pendulum of my life has swung too far in one direction. I am going to get that damn thing to go back the other way. So I sat there all night and just let the music carry me into different ideas I would have. I did end up solving the problem, and it came down to I moved west in order to break myself down, to build myself back up. I went back to my beginning. I worked for free. I was on food stamps, all in the hopes, the expectations of a guy I was working with as a unpaid assistant with his college program to help me out. So that was a huge time in my life looking back. It was capsulized now that I look back. It wasn't that bad. But it was, strip everything away. I got rid of all my photos, my awards, plaques, trophies. Boom, I pitched them when I left Wisconsin for Washington State. So, yeah, and music was, when I describe it in the book, I Won't Back Down by Tom Petty was playing when I left. Yeah, so that was perfect. Yeah.
Your phrase that you said moments ago, breaking yourself down to build yourself back up, for those who are watching and listening, when you think back and reflect on the building process, what did that actually require of you in order for you to actually move on from that difficult season?
Wow. I think I thought less of how others saw me. Being an assistant at a small college may have helped, because I was able to be more myself on the soccer field with a new group of college student athletes. And it helped me come round. So again, it was just really strip myself down to the bare and, eat like I did when I was in college and didn't have any money, So it kind of took me back. Didn't have any money to go off to have a beer or anything. It was just enclosure. And I don't think I closed myself off or anything, but it was part of the process. And that was my decision to do that.
If you are watching and listening to this and think there's no other twists and turns in his life, I mean, there's even more chapters, obviously, because if you go a little bit deeper in your book, there are chapters in your life when you step away from soccer to adopt 5 children. Mm-hmm. I'm going to need that as a teaser. Tell us what in the world was going on in your mind, and why was this your selection?
The deal I had with the guy when I first moved to Washington was, because he was a very well-known coach, to help me get into a position so maybe I could be a head coach. My objective was to win a national championship at Division I level. Ended up at Gonzaga. Wasn't much going on athletically there. The deal was I was going to move in as the assistant coach while that guy left and slide me in as the interim head coach. Well, at the same time, they interviewed a new athletic director. He had no idea of our written agreement. Brought me in as the assistant to someone that didn't know what the heck she was doing. That was extremely frustrating. So that, with one night watching a news report of this couple outside of Seattle who had adopted 2 children from Haiti after a disaster there, something went off inside of me. I'd never thought about any clue. I'm supposed to do something with that. Called the athletic director and said, take my name off the list, because he wanted to interview me for the position. And started the 1.5-year process, throwing up bribes, wrote to Oprah, anything I could to try to get I was a brother and a sister, 2 and 3 years old, just past diaper stage. That was great. Finally, Senator Patty Murray from the state of Washington helped us. 2 came home. A year later, a little boy from Ethiopia came home. 2 years after that, a little girl from Ethiopia, and 2 years after that, made it 5 with a basketball team and another little girl from Ethiopia. So it was totally flipping. Here we had 2 kids that came to us from Romania because there was no money. 3 kids from 3 different families. Those kids witnessed their parents die of AIDS. So we really had something that was a blend. So I stayed doing that for 20 years until I said, time to get back to coaching. And that was a good thing.
Once again, listen, Am Refocused Radio, watching us online, talking to our guest today, Scott Martin. Man, if you really like what you're hearing right now, I suggest you pre-order his book, because it's coming out very soon. The title of the book is Play From Your Heart. It's coming out very soon. We'll have all the information you need in the show notes. But moving right along, you have powerful talks with your players. You can share with them what your mission is with our audience. Tell us what you have told your players in that time.
Well, with my resume, I went into this large club. Parents are paying thousands of dollars. They want their kids to end up playing in college or national team or whatever. So with my resume, I was not given the A team. I was not given a B team. I was given a C team of 12-year-olds. And it was, what the, well, didn't surprise me. Here's some discrimination going on. But I attended those 2 days of training sessions. A team was larger, more confident in what they were doing. The P team, B team, yeah, about the same. My kids were smaller and they lacked confidence. Well, I went after, technically, they were good players. So we worked on building their confidence. And part of that, and I think we did a pretty good job in the book, being open and honest. I told them right from the start, call me Scott. We're going to be sweating together. So don't call me coach, right? Just call me Scott. So a lot of times, it would come up. Certain things would come up and it would open up. And every time they would get into conversations with me, a lot of times individually, I knew that they were starting to come around. They were hearing, well, they weren't hearing music. I'll take that back. They were playing more like the music. So we went through the first summer. We lost in 3 tournament finals, built it up, and then we went for the state league, which came up in the fall of that year. And something really special happened that season.
Life is something we can never predict.
Oh, no.
But it's something that we have to deal with and live.
Yeah.
When you think about that part of life where you don't have control, it's beyond your control, but you do live long enough, find out that you have control with your reaction towards challenges and your choices that you make on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah.
What hits you hardest the most when you think about the legacy of life? Not so much the sadness and bad parts of life, but when you think about the legacy, like overall, this legacy has some good chapters and some bad chapters. What sticks out most for you?
I think I turned things around. I was just upstairs with my wife having lunch, and I turned to her and I told her that we had known each other we had met when we were teenagers, 40 years, and life happened, and then we got back together. And that's how the book ends, by the way, folks. Us, Sue and I. And I thanked her just upstairs a little while ago, again, for us reconnecting, because I said that I'm back pretty much to being that cocky guy before I got sick, and a lot of it has to do with her, with being with her. We've been together since 2018, so, not a huge lot of time, but that's just another part of life, how it handles. And you put it very well, Shemaiah, about, how to deal with it. And it does come down to that. How do we react and how do we deal with it? I did stupid things. I didn't allow myself to feel. I just wanted to work, and that was stupid. But, it's what I did. It's how we got here. It's how I'm with Sue, because of all these things that happened.
I heard someone say before, it's not the weight that crushes you, it's how you carry the weight.
Yeah, that's good, man. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I wasn't able to carry the weight right out of the hospital. Yeah, I can carry it now. Very good. Thank you.
Well, once again, listen to Am Refocused Radio, watching us online as well, talking to our guest today, Scott Martin. Get a copy of his book. I'm telling you, if you don't want it right now, I'm going to get it for you. But it is available pretty soon. Just pre-order right now. Everything you need, details will be in the show notes. But the title of that book is Play From Your Heart. And let's talk about that title, because I feel like it makes everything come full circle.
It does.
We're playing the band or something, but what inspired you to come up with that name when you decided to publish this book?
It's pretty funny. I first started coaching when I was playing and attending college as a freshman. Got into coaching. And right from the start, I would work with a bunch of 10-year-olds, and I'd tell them, turn off your brain and play from your heart. And that was the objective we wanted to get to. Because when World Cup's coming up, folks, go watch some of the World Cup matches, and you're gonna see a lot of teams, a lot of players play from their heart. But in order to do that, they have to be able to turn off their brain. So that title's too long. So when we thought about it, it's like, yeah, play from your heart. It really covers everything in the book. It's perfect. I just love it. And I couldn't find any other titles that, were major that were out there. So we're covered being by ourselves with that title.
Last thing I'll say before we sign off is, when you think about stories, when you think about music, when you think about good movies or a good TV show, what's one thing in common that makes the individual appreciate that project the most? The connection.
Yeah, exactly. Man, you're bringing up some really good stuff here, man. There is a bunch of connection. I think so many people are going to be able to connect on so many levels. It's not just the disabled community. It's not just the soccer community. And by the way, I hope the heck non-soccer people appreciate it, because I did a lot of trimming to tone down the soccer-esque parts to it. So yeah, God, you're bringing up some good stuff here. Really good.
Once again, listening to us online, watching us or hearing us on radio, talking to our guest today, Scott Martin. For those who've been sitting in the back and got wax in the ears, what's the best way they can get a copy of this book, and also how they can find you online?
Well, here's a little story too, Shemaiah. Our distributor, Simon & Schuster, is so freaking huge. They're a little slow right now in finally getting us up where it's supposed to be for pre-sale on Amazon. So in the show notes, what Shemaiah is going to have there is, and I apologize, but it's not so bad, it's a link to our publisher's website, and that's the only place it's available for pre-sale now. They'll take care of you once it gets up on Amazon. Once Simon & Schuster finally gets their crap together, it's going to be more available. I've got podcasts and there's going to be a lot of fixing I'm going to have to do once we finally get out on Amazon. So yeah, go to that, or you could Google up Scott Martin book, and it's going to be, down a couple maybe, but you'll be able to find it.
Once again, I want to say to Scott Martin, like always, I want to say thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it very much.